Okay.
Yeah, just cut me off again if I start wandering on.
No, no worries. Like, all right, I got a vertically oriented screen there too. Nice.
Yeah, see, so this is what I've been using just as a workspace to get these and just to practice. Um, so this is the font Austin character,
Yep.
which I blew up to 54 pixels just to make it big enough to work with.
Hmm.
Well, so then I made the picture cool. See, when I go big, it gets, yep. So obviously I can.
Yep. So that's your font size. I mean,
Make this huge, like you're talking about. It's going to go over the
700,
page, right?
and then once it's an image, you can shrink it smaller. I mean, that's just like a I mean,
Yeah,
copy, yeah,
I will copy
and paste it as an image.
paste
Yep.
picture.
And then
Yeah.
you could right click and go to size properties and put in some number to make it really small. But now you've got your high resolution.
Oh, I see it over here. Oh yeah, because it's 20 inches.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get far enough so that I can actually see my screen again.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Yeah, so I don't see it, but if you do a right click percentage on that image. Oh, looks like you pasted that as a font. You want to paste it as an image. In fact, could I have a? Do you mind if I take if I were to grab control over your screen, I might be able to demonstrate that better.
I think you have to grab me, right? I don't know.
Request. Let me see how I do that. Right click. All right, I just requested. Okay, so I'm going to just put in an example. So here's my example of my Word file. Let's here, file Word. This is our model. I'm going to do Control C, Control V. This is the source code, right? This is basic. This is an SVG. Fonts are scalable. And by the way, I did think about it. You could make playing cards using this technique, by the way, because there are other fonts you could use to create that. So,
well, today as I've manufactured these, I've thought that might still be a good idea because people might think I'm going to put up images relating to the type of document.
Oh, by the way, did you see what I just did? I did a cut and then I did a paste. Let me do that again.
You did a paste as picture.
Yep. Right? So step one.
You made it big.
Yep. So first I copied the source code right here, and then I just pasted it. In fact, instead of copy paste, it's much more efficient if I hold down the control button and drag, and you just delete what you don't want. Now we'll make this one absurdly large. 700 seems to fit that definition. Then I'm going to cut. Then I'm going to paste as a picture. And oh, cool! I didn't know I could do it right here. So 0.5.
Oh, it's right there.
Oops.
Well, show me a big one. Show me a 30, just so I can see it. Show me the 3.4.
4. Just try 4. We want something so.
Perfect. Yeah, that's fine.
Something so we can crop it because we still have all that white space.
There you go, and there's your big. That's the problem I've had. But now, if I start cropping by hand, they're not going to be dead accurate.
You're only going to crop it by hand once. You're only going to crop it once.
But I'm going to do this Word one, and I'm going to do the PowerPoint one, and I'm going to do the Excel one. And so the Word, the PowerPoint, and the Excel will just vary by that little bit. So I always avoid a hand crop.
If you are, you might find. Well, I haven't. Just make sure you are precise, and then
yeah.
And then later on, if you find that you do have an issue,
probably more often.
What's that?
No. You know how I keep saying I'm not a graphics guy?
Yes.
that make sure you're precise. I have trouble implementing things with graphics tools like make sure you're precise.
Well, this
So I've learned
one,
to just not do things by hand.
well, this now you no
But
longer
I'm
need
with
to
you. So I
now you
understand.
don't need to do it by hand. So this is your boneyard. So now all of your other items, this is a shortcut. Click, drag, right click. This guy
Oh, yeah,
becomes 0.2. Done. Now
No,
we'll
I figured
zoom in here.
the big tip here was going to 700 as a font.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I was looking for the way to get rid of that. Those were the two things, was make it big just as a font. That's one of the reasons when we've talked in the past that I don't like making them images. And I keep wanting to keep it a character, which for all these reasons doesn't work, but keep trying.
Well,
Because
and
then
that's
it's just so much easier to decide.
if you want to. I mean, if you want to use a real character, then you got to go to real code because code is better.
Well, the only limitation there is I can't put a character as a background image, right?
You can correct.
Could I put a character in a text box and put the text box as the background image?
Well, I guess I was teasing you a little bit. If you want scalable vector graphics, you need to use code. Otherwise, just acknowledge that if you want a simulation that you want everyone to see, you're going to have to do this background image technique. Because right now, that standard's universally adopted. The scalable vector graphics is not uniformly adopted.
So can I show you something else now?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because I appreciate you doing the work there for me, but I don't need that.
Okay.
So here, how did I manufacture that?
Let's take a look. It looks to me like you've put in an image widget, which you should never have. See that? That's an image widget.
This is my Style Master page.
Yeah.
So I wanted to style something. So I should style just
Well,
I still have this conceptual problem when I just want to show a style like this on a Style Master page.
yes.
Well, what do I style? I need an object to style.
The object that you always style will always be a section. You will never use an image. So if you see this, your problem right here is you have an image.
That's my problem.
So
as soon as you say that, that makes total sense. I was just looking at it. I didn't worry about it long, but see, then I even replicated it and did it again and made the same mistake.
yeah.
Okay.
So what you would do, and I'm guessing you have like a redundant style. Yes, you do. So this is the way around it. So if you realize you're like, oh, I have an image, I don't want to have an image. The way you do it, the way you resolve this problem is we do a right click, wrap in section. Then we clear the contents of that section. Clear contents.
Clear content. And then I just apply the style.
Yep.
Which I have there, evidence person 34.
Yeah. And then
I've
same
manufactured and remanufactured those styles all day long. The images just keep moving around on me. And new to this technique, I find that the images just some random size.
I'm still learning how to better communicate this technique. I watched the encore of what we did the other day, and I was, you had made a comment that it's a lot easier for you to understand the abstract after you've seen a tangible example. However,
right.
It's a lot easier to communicate your ideas if they're abstract. So that seems to be, that's I don't know how to clear that divide or bridge that gap.
I think that's a chicken and the egg problem that people always run into when communicating.
So there you go. And then if you say, oh, but I want it to be a smaller image, you just go to your library that you've created and you go to a smaller one.
Notice the person 13. Oh yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah, that numbering's a good one too. And then later on, if someone says, well, it's whatever it is, well, the renaming capabilities are pretty powerful with the Style Master, even though the UI is less than amazing.
Yeah, we had started out with like small, medium, large, and as I changed things, I realized, well, no, sometimes I want large and then larger. And we would joke yesterday about extra large.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to stick on the numbers. So
Cool.
yeah, I did the little slider demo. So there's
Okay.
my slider demo.
Oh, by the way, I thought about
the slider actually now works.
and Sean, I figured out the solution. You know that I listened better. I thought more about it. You know that Mac feature that you want? You know, where you roll over something
Yeah.
and the item just raises? Well, all you need to do on that property is you're going to just, so for person, can you move that style into view?
Yeah.
Well, on mouse over, my thought is you could have an on mouse over aligned top and have everything else aligned bottom. Right? So it's the exact same style.
So it'll raise up. It won't get bigger, but it'll move.
It'll move up. No, I mean, you could have it move up and go to a bigger style too. But I think that's basically what you want, because I was trying to think of what you're thinking. Basically, you're recreating a blackjack table with your microfiche, and that's why you really want to have the playing cards. You're recreating an online poker game. And so you can kind of have these cards raise up, and then it goes onto the table. And so maybe everyone you've selected, you might have 2 or 3 things raised up if you have 2 or 3 things on the table. Possibly. So given that means you actually have 3 states at each one. This master that we're going to talk about soon, the master is going to have 3 states. It will have a mouse over state, which is just simply a behavior thing. But then you'll have a persistent selected state, which is if you clicked on it, it stays up even when your mouse leaves it. Wouldn't that be, I'm thinking, isn't that basically what you want?
Could be analogous to an HTML link, how it has that state. I don't even know what the state
is. Yep, they call it visited. The only difference is yours, if you wanted to, could have a business row where you could say I could have 1 selected, 5 selected, whereas traditional HTML says you can only have 1. Well, maybe you might want to have 2 things selected into the active area. Well, you could, in theory, from a style part. I don't know why you would, but there's no reason why you couldn't. So, all right. So that's do you want to try making a couple more of those with PowerPoint while I'm watching, and then just make sure you're comfortable with that? But I like the naming. That looks pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
And then I figure after this, it would be good to do some work on the style master and work on the style for, the hover state, the selected state. Probably be good. Yeah, so those blurry ones, you could probably you only really need to worry about redoing the big guys.
Yeah. That's my thought, is that if I do this, well, in fact, what I want to do here, I can just in place here.
Yep. And then cut, paste his image.
Then I can do my.
Well, if you do cut, because yeah. Right click and size it to 5 or something like that. Oh, you can do it that way too, but there's a more direct approach. It gives you a text box right there where you can put in a value.
I need to see what I'm doing here. Left my page.
And this is the part where if this page gets confusing, make a blank page for yourself.
There we go.
And you only need to have the font there once, which is in that top left-hand side.
Now, once again, I've gotten confused though that I'm.
Yeah, how about this, Sean? Make a blank one right after Excel. So put in a blank page 13, new slide. All right. So the first thing, just bring over the source code. That's the font where it says
Well,
FA
that's where I
Final Excel.
messed up here.
Well, let me show you what I mean by source code.
Well, no, I didn't. Yeah, but those are left over. Those aren't real source code. I
Okay.
got lazy. I couldn't find the site where you put. I found in my research today that there is no single Font Awesome naming convention. If I go from Font Awesome site to Font Awesome site, or site that uses Font Awesome to another site that uses Font Awesome, these names will vary. Excel and PowerPoint and whatnot will vary.
Well, they have aliases. It's not so they have aliases on them, but the naming is consistent and it's maintained by Font Awesome. Let me show you I'll add that.
Well,
link
Font Awesome has a naming system.
Yes.
But I found a bunch of designers have changed the names.
Oh, yes.
So, like you and I will just go in a discussion. We'll go to a site and say, okay, let's grab some Font Awesome assets.
Yes.
So if I go to site A and you go to site B, we could very easily get a Font Awesome asset that's based on the original Font Awesome that looks good, that's even implemented well, but has a different name. Is what I found.
Can we agree, though, that it would probably be preferable to go to the same library if we're talking about the same resources?
Well, that led me up to my question of which Font Awesome site do you go to when you grab Font Awesome?
I am going to.
I didn't know the URL of that site.
I just added it to the For Sean page, and it should be.
I didn't know that because I went to GitHub by mistake, or and GitHub is an authoritative.
Yep. Well, Font Awesome. This is from GitHub. So go to the For Sean page, and you'll see under resources.
I got to get rid of this. I don't even know how to get rid of this.
Well, and Sean, what you'll do, you are going to delete page 12. What you need to do is don't focus on getting rid of page 12. If you focus on page 12, you will not add value.
I'm just trying to get rid of this one thing.
Click off. There you go.
Yeah, no, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. Get one thing done.
Right.
No, because I agree when I'm trying to explain things to people and they get caught on deleting this really bad.
Yeah.
You want to move forward.
So the first task is see if you can find FA file. Well, so could you pull up the For Sean page and put that in the screen? The wiki page.
Well, the FA Sean page. Somewhere. Oh, for some reason, no. The answer seems to be monitor.
Okay, so right below where you see For Simulation, it says Font Awesome cheat sheet. Click that.
GitHub.io. Yeah.
Yep, that is the library. That is the single place. That is the source where all the names come from. So if you always use this one, there won't be confusion. So now do Control.
Because I found.
Don't find anything else. This is the one that you use. And type in Excel.
Yeah.
There you go. Now copy and paste that whole thing. And then go to that blank Excel, your blank PowerPoint page. Page 13.
Yeah.
Slide 13. And paste it at the top left corner. You try it again. Do right-click, paste, special. Right-click, then paste special. Or keep. You want keep source. You want keep source formatting. So the middle option. That's destination source formatting right there.
Yeah.
And it's still not. It's not using.
To the upper left-hand corner.
All right, and then I guess change that font to Font Awesome. I'm surprised that didn't.
Well, so this is good. So my implementation for whatever makes everything Calibri, and it's no problem there. All I have to do is highlight what I want, change it to Font Awesome, and then it's italic.
Yeah, that's
Get rid of
That's a
See?
unpleasant size, but there you go. Yep. So you can delete that. So now that is your source code. So that's step one, source code. Step two, make a copy of this one. So hold down your control key and just drag it down.
While we're here, do you ever use this number, by the way?
Developers do. So you always leave that there.
Yeah.
But
okay,
the reason, so
ever use that number?
we don't use that, but developers use that. And the use cases, if they want to put a Font Awesome image inside of a button, they can't use a style sheet inside of a button. They have to use the hex value. But in the meantime, so this one is hold down the control key and make a copy of that. So control and drag. Control and just drag down. Now delete what you don't need, which is the words, and we'll just have the image. Now make this size 72. Or I'm sorry, 700 rather. You have to type that in. There you go. Now turn that into a picture.
Oh, good. So it does kind of fit, though.
Yeah, now cut. Don't just cut it. Don't copy it. Cut. And then paste. Right click, paste.
Look, I have that left over.
And if you just right click, paste, it disappears. There you go. Awesome. Now right click. And that see that text area? Yeah, just make it a 5 or something like that.
We'll hit 3.4. And will it keep my ratio?
It will, but if you keep it a little bit larger, it's easier to find it because you're kind of making your default thing that you're making. So it just kind of disappeared somewhere. That's where usually I would recommend use a bigger number next time.
I think 3.5 to 5 was that much.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm just making another copy of it. Do the same thing. This will give you more practice. Control, drag down. All right, get rid of what you don't want. Highlight what you'd want to keep. Size 700. Cut. Paste his image. Right click. Try 10 or something like that. That's because you want to make it. Try 10.
Okay. I'm happy to. Yeah.
You should be able to find it that way. All right. Now you can just drag.
Way up in the corner.
Yeah. But now you can.
Okay, and then I found
you can right click. You can right click crack. Yep.
And yeah. See, this is where I found you.
And you can zoom in just like you can in iRise. Those shortcuts work where it's a control scroll. But spend some time on this one.
A little closer, and then zoom in. Yeah, no, my original thing was just more that any zoom is always that last little.
Yeah, but at this point, as this thing gets small, that difference is so small, and this is a fine thing to iterate on because it's all in styles. So this is good. Click off that one.
I seem to be.
And now here's your model. So now make this guy 2, and then the next guy 3. So you can just do right click on that image. Right click, and make that top number 2, all the way up to the top. Shape height 0.2. I'm sorry, 0.2.
Okay. Sure. Why am I making it 0.2 though?
Because that's the first number in the Fibonacci.
Because I'm just making it.
Yep, and then you do control drag down.
So I'm going to do.
Yeah, and then we can do the align function after that. 0.3. Excellent. Control drag down. 0.5. Right click. 0.5. 0.8. Next one is 1.3. Boy, I'm so much better at math when someone else is doing it.
Comment on this fiction of multitasking.
What's that? 21. Okay. And then I think you have to move over to the next side for 34. But you're right. It really does. That is a magic ratio that seems to, you can see kind of that horizon effect or whatever you call that.
Okay. So one of the things that's really magic about that is, now follow me on this. Remember before we trimmed off the outer edge, it was an image of some arbitrary size with that huge margin around it?
Yes.
I found that image was consistently one Fibonacci number less. So if I had that at 3.4 with the extra margin, the actual image there would be just about the size of the 21. And that amazed me, because then, I did it again with the 21, and the image was just the size. It was always one less. That margin, of course, is put on by the program programmatically, and it was following the Fibonacci.
Interesting.
Trivia, but it was, yeah.
I feel like
I thought about then taking a screenshot.
I feel like I need to go back to sophomore year and apologize to my geometry teacher. So, but now you can delete X.
Then you control copy. You seem to not need labels.
Well, because we know what the Fibonacci numbers are.
No, I mean, but I forget whether that's a 21 or a 34.
Okay.
See. And so I found that I wanted to put in like an 8 and a 34. Just so I could.
You probably could. All you have to do is like have the first one say 2. Just label your top one and your bottom one. It's a 2 through 13.
Does it, the 21. But then I still have to remember. I guess the other thing too is I've been using that as my 8. 8 is my standard small image, and 34 my big.
But anyway, so this is good. Now the next step is. But now the next step is saving these off as images. So what I do is before you save as a picture, hit cancel. That text that you have up there at the top left corner, you can reuse that name. So if you take take all the words, so FA.
I did that exactly.
Even include the O.
Right there. I used that part for the name.
If you use the full name, that's more useful. Because in the future, the person that is going to code this stuff will need to know that full name.
Okay. So now I can save as a picture.
Yeah. And then in parentheses.
This is where then I always put in the 34.
Yeah, I normally put that in parentheses, just but yeah.
And then I've been cherry picking just out of laziness, because later I can manufacture all of them. But right now, I need the 8s and the 34s.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, if you need to get more 2s or whatever, you know how to get them.
Yeah, because this gives me the.
Nice. You want to do a couple more just to kind of get the muscle memory, or?
So.
But I found what you're doing is interesting with the laying out the labels. I could see that as kind of being a nice template in PowerPoint, where you kind of have the numbers. Well, it tells you where to put them too, right? If you had a blank page.
Yeah, my big thing is not that think, and like that I quickly realized that I tried 1 or 2 tests, and 8 was where. So I quit manufacturing everything below 8.
Yeah.
Even in my testing, because that was just too small to be useful right now. And I knew that I could always do it later, as long as I had these set up in my PowerPoint. So I'm going to go off here. This is the word. I'm going off here. Okay.
And you can type in the word too in that search part, which is probably helpful in the lower left-hand corner of your browser. Word dash O. Type in
I can
dash
go to the
O.
next one.
Or yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
There we go.
Cool. Grab your source code.
It says text. So
And,
it goes to the center of the
yep.
page for me.
And you may as well just make all, just make it all the same font. Make it all font awesome.
Well, I made that mistake. Oh, it does work. Cool. Okay, and so now.
Yep, drag down. And you can delete everything else on that page. Because that other stuff is going to get in the way. You don't need anything else. I almost wonder if you want to make it big, like put it down at the bottom of that page when you do this, because it tends to, when it returns as an image, it tends to go really high up. Just out of curiosity.
So I'm going to make this the font right now, though, right?
Yep. 700. Yeah, and don't drag it up, because I think copy, and then when you hit paste, just don't leave. Stay right there. It's gonna still paste it up high, but maybe it won't be as bad. I don't know. Just right click, and you're going to 5. You're starting off at 8. 0.8.
Well, my goal is to get to 3.4. I was just trying to make it smaller so that we could actually see it. You see, I've lost it again. Which seems to be an
So
ongoing.
you can zoom out.
Careful.
You can zoom out if you want. Oh, is that it? Nope. So that's.
So it's fine, and it's easily findable.
Yeah,
really.
I don't know how to solve that
I can't
problem.
really complain about that.
But
yeah.
you might want to get rid of that one on the right, though, so you don't confuse it. Or the redundant one on the right. Yeah. You don't care if it's there. I think the text box just kind of clears out. And so you can right-click crop, or you can go to that crop tool. Yep. And then in the future, there's all types of special effects you can do with word art on these fonts. You're not doing them now, but like for example, on an Apple, they normally have a glowing or reflection effect. With that, word art would let you do that.
Glowing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like so they look wet.
Well, yeah. So yeah, it looks like it's sitting on top of a pond or something. I don't know why Apple does that, but.
It looks cool. Out of laziness, I tend to.
Up all the way up to the top. All right. Oh yeah, you can do it that way too.
0.8. There. See, I know I can make the rest, but that way I've got the two that I want.
Yep. And remember, you can control and drag is the way to go. Oh, you're just going to save it because you're just making 2 pictures.
I was going to go ahead and just manufacture these two, because I want to go through the whole process for a couple of different ones, more so than just to pull out.
I would have to say, though, part of the art is learning how to replicate something with minimal effort of this exercise.
Oh, yeah. Copy that. I save the picture. Paste it in. Make it 0.8. Got it. Save the picture.
Looks like there's something on the top right, yeah.
Just don't want to be gotten rid of. And I went up. I thought of going to 55, and that's just. Oh,
All right, so this is this supposed to be a Word one? I forgot which one we're
yeah. My problem by deleting them all, I forgot to. Frankly, if I do Control Z, will it? Oh, it undoes my new. See, I want to keep this as a template.
Yeah, I think that's you've got something that might be, especially if you put some grid lines and stuff like that, that might be a valuable, that might be that might be, yeah, or useful for reusing.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, and that's, well, we have the boneyard thing. If I'm going to add some.
Yeah, actually, yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, see, I want to just grab that there. No, I can still. Okay, so this is PDF. HIJKLMNO.
Oh, I saw it up there. If you type in PDF or Acrobat, I wonder it's one of those two. PDFs, there's two PDF. Try again. All right, yep, file PDF.
Copy.
You should, as a practice, always hit that middle one. Keep source.
Middle. Well, let's just do this again. Keep source.
Yep. In the usually it will carry over the font awesome. For some reason on this PowerPoint it's not.
In fact,
but then I would just make it do a Control A and just make sure everything's the same font. You don't want to. You want to make this as simple as possible. Oh, that's a good brute force. Everything's font awesome now. Nice.
That's convenient. Font awesome also has just regular characters.
This is one of the reasons it's better than it's a evolution on Wingdings when they expanded the character sets with the I don't know if that was Unicode or something like that, but they expanded the character codes that are available. So when Wingdings came out, like you only had so many characters allowed, so you could either have the letter A or a joker. You couldn't have both. When they expanded to hexadecimal values, it was they had reserved characters that just aren't used on the keyboard at all. So that allows things like.
Well, that did look like staying low.
It's the next part. This part's what's the this is the part that causes the.
So I can
the issue.
Go like 10, so that's not so. But yeah.
Yeah.
Pops it right up in the left corner.
And then there's that cropping icon.
Always do that? Yeah, it always pops it up. Okay.
And then there's a cropping.
Fact, actually, I don't want to
stay right there. If you do right click.
Resolution wise, have I lost resolution by
You've
going
not.
to 10 to 5 before the crop?
Nope. It's already been brought over.
It's already there? Okay.
Yep. But you should I'd like, if you could, get a little bit better, just only use the right click. You don't have to navigate through menus quite so much.
Oh, okay.
And that'll be useful because when you change operating systems, right click is the same universally. However, you'll find that the menus will change as you switch to different versions of Office.
I have no idea how to actually do the crop.
Yeah, so if you did right click, see that crop icon?
Now I can make this. Yeah.
That's the button that you press to enable the crop, to make it crop. And I don't know what those two icons on the top and those are probably send forwards and backwards. But that go down, to the left. Well, anyways, there's a picture of the cropping thing that you see. Do you see that when you right click? Actually, yeah,
Yeah, the picture
yeah,
right there. The
that's the best. Yeah, so if you click that, that'll activate the cropping
That's
mode.
cool. There. And then see, I've got to manufacture more, but that's my minimum set.
Yep, and then
This
you
is
grab the file PDF name, save those,
yeah, I can.
and you'll find copying it really is not really the challenge. It's the ability to add that one little piece of metadata or modify that one little piece of metadata to finish it off. So that one's good. But 5's not 5.
5.
And 13 isn't 13, and 21 isn't 21.
What do you mean?
I'll show you. So click on the thing next to 5, the image next to 5. And if you do right click,
Yeah, I just made that's an 8.
yeah, that's where it's like, if you're gonna replicate it, this is, you almost want to try to limit doing that, because it's so easy to have a project that's filled with useless or kind of redundancies in there. You almost
Right.
want to be conservative with, if you copy it, but modify it as soon as you can. Cool.
There.
And then you can use the align left, but I don't know what the shortcut is, but this is where I think you have a potentially, it's from the format tab. You can't do it on the right mouse thing, I don't think. You have to hit the format tab.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, I see it. Arrange. See? Arrange. Right between shapes and quick styles. Move up. Go to the right.
Quick style.
There you go.
Arrange. Align.
Oh, and you could distribute it. It's got a distribution method too, so you could have the computer do that.
Distribute. Yeah.
But this would be nice if you had some like guidelines or something like that was like in the background for this. So when you're making it, you could just position the picture where it's supposed to be easier. That'd be cool.
Ruler would help me.
Yeah.
A little bit. I never show the ruler. I'm not a PowerPoint person. I need to.
Yeah. Well,
is there a standard background that's a pattern?
Yeah, that's all kind of learning. We will be PowerPoint people at some point. But I always like having some sort of background because it demonstrates what type of image you have. For example, if that was not transparent, it'd be very obvious now because of this background you have. White is traditionally a problematic one.
Cool. Yeah.
So I always have. Now I like to pick some of the more muted colors because that reduces eye strain. So one of the benefits of high contrast, it's easier to see things. One of the detractors of high contrast is it causes more eye strain. So having that kind of like that the muted color in the background, it reduces the amount of contrast. The white is not as harsh on your eyes. FYI. And you'll notice that's on some of the apps, they have different themes. They have dark themes because it depends what time you're working on this. If you happen to be working in a basement in a low light environment, you'll want to have softer colors. If you happen to be working in a place with fluorescent lights extremely bright, you're going to want to have a higher contrast. I guess it's interesting, not directly relevant to this.
Forever. No, is it? Yeah. Well, okay, so I've gotten through this manufacturing, so now the whole idea is that here, as I expand this out.
And by the way, that Style Master, I'm thinking nice.
Well, I broke the person 2 view.
That's real easy. You just need it lost its style. And in fact,
Yeah.
Google's using the term material as opposed to style, which I think is probably a good name.
Material?
Hmm. So you don't apply a style, you apply a material to the web components.
In the sense of like textile?
Um,
Material? I'm trying to think
yeah,
of the word material. I mean,
yeah, kind of
a
in
pattern.
kind of like I think well, that's where you'd need to see like a virtual reality. You're building something with materials.
Do I want to duplicate several views and fill them in, or do them one at a time? And talk about just being efficient.
You want to make a view, and actually, can I grab your mouse for a second? I've got a
Yeah.
couple
Feel
naming
free.
things I want to do. I want to rename this one instead of style. I want to rename that to concept master.
Okay.
Each one of your concepts should be in here. In fact, so I'm going to just
Yeah, I want to see what the concept is.
so you have the
We talk in terms of
concept.
concepts, but then I lose track of the overview.
So you have the concept of a person. You have the concept of evidence, or not person. You have the concept of text. The image is not. We want to make sure it's difficult when you don't have the uniform style. So 5 isn't 5 everywhere. But
I've been trying to make it 5 everywhere all afternoon long.
naming's the only way to get it to make it happen.
Well, but what I find, I'll change it to a size 5 and name it 5, and then a little while later it's not 5,
Well,
which obviously means I was confused.
which means the image back here is not 5. And so
And
you
I have
want to find,
remanufactured those images to make sure they're 5.
well, and it should be the
So
font
yeah,
awesome. Like I see 8s.
these are the new ones. Well, those are the new. Yeah.
So is 8 the new standard size we want?
Yeah, you picked 5.
Okay, so
Eight. I think we were using 5 there because this is just a documentation page, so you wanted it to be small.
we need one page where everything's the same. We need, in order to understand, in order to do analysis of your concepts, we need them all to be apples.
Right. And so what I'm reporting though is throughout the afternoon, as I've worked on this, I keep remanufacturing those styles, and to my limited perception, they keep just kind of changing themselves. And I know that that's not actually what they do.
And
But I will make them 5. I will use it, and it is size 5, and then later it's just size 8.
yes, and the only way that you can, because it's too much to remember, is if you use if you repeat the exact names from Font Awesome, the less that you invent, you'll find the less surprises happen.
Oh, that makes me feel good, because one of the first things I did as I was trying to run this down, remember yesterday we had 5 and 8. We had a few different sizes, but we also had small, medium, and large. Well, I went through and got rid of the small, medium, large, so they were all at least the 5 and the 8.
That's good. Yeah, and then later on, the customer can say, "Well, to me, a 5 is small." But in the beginning, But anyway, so let's. So you have a concept of text, you have a concept of a PowerPoint, and again, this thing is all renamable, but we want to understand what these are. You have the concept of, right, we already have, you have the concept of Word.
Word and video.
And what we're doing is you're going to have a view of each one of these, but we want to have just one page that shows all of your concepts first. the
I can
concept
see
of
where
the
that really
video.
helped, because it would be nice if that drop-down menu showed this. Yeah.
Well, and that drop-down menu does show this, right? You can
Well,
access
no, I
it
mean
from,
actually show a sample of the style applied.
yes, for each one of them. Yeah, otherwise, it's just because you need to open up the window, the viewable area, so you can see what's going on.
If you scroll up, there are ones above person.
Okay, PDF.
There's that PDF up there.
And you see how lazy I am? I'm just
Yep.
I'm not even making new styles. Now later on, what I will do when I'm white gloving this, I would rename this, to match. But right now, um, I that's having that image there is enough for us to kind of. And these are just all placeholders. These images can be replaced with other images. We just want to make sure that the size is the same. So image 34. Okay. But naming saved us here. That should be image 8.
Well, on a page like this is how I can work out my problem when I say, like you've been pointing out, that some of them are duplicates or whatnot.
Yes, and
I've been trying to run those down all day.
and these names should probably reflect the names that you have in your style sheet. And now you have like I wish, well, this is a much more friendly way to see all of your concepts. The human eye, you can read 600, you can perceive 600 concepts a minute. Maybe it's more than that. I think it's 600 a minute. So if you want to quickly see all of your concepts, well, based on that site, I think you could review all of your concepts here in under a minute, which is pretty good. So up to
Yeah.
600 concepts it makes it more sustainable. Oops. So you are going to have a view with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 concepts. Right now we're going to start off simple as just 11. However, there are going to be, each one of these concepts will have 3 views. It's going to have a view when it's moused over and a view to indicate that it's been selected. That'll be later on. So the first part, we can just simply make a, one simple view. Whoops. And so this is where you start to go, this is person. And this is nice if you have 2 screens because you can just type in what it should be. This one should be person, this one should be text, and duplicate. This one is PowerPoint. And this is where it's nice if you had another person that knew iRise at the same time, someone could be going behind you and they could be going to the text one and say, well, let's change it to say text.
Okay.
This will become.
So the idea is it's easy enough to change the style that you can just manufacture them all with the same style and just change style.
Yes.
As opposed to like when I was playing with graphics and I would have to put graphics in.
Yep. And then if you want to modify anything, it's just easier. If you want to change that image, you don't have to figure out how the heck to get to this view because you're about to have views within views very shortly. And the ability to navigate that gets increasingly more difficult by abstracting it with styles. You remove that exercise. So this, you're going to make one of these. This is like our concepts. This is the concept evidence. We don't have to say, we don't have to be, this is, or we could just say concept. This is approximately correct. I think it's an evidence concept. But later on, if this is just evidence, you just say evidence, and then he'd say, what type of evidence? And it's one of these here. You know, you might put in a number, a person's a 1, a text is
Well, that's
2.
really what it is. It's types of evidence. Right?
Cool.
Evidence types.
And you kind of iterate on that one, and then you could say, so just kind of make a couple more. So see if you can go add 3 more views. Add a Word view, a video view, and a PDF view. Yep, smart duplicate.
Rename it while we're here.
Yep.
And then this is already in video, so I just have to.
Perfect. And rename that text that's in there too. Perfect.
Where I am.
Next one,
Okay,
you're going to make a PDF.
PowerPoint, person text PowerPoint. Let's pick up Word because I skipped Word.
Okay. And then also just when you do that, you can raise it up on the stack so it matches. So drag Word.
Yeah. Yep.
You know how to do that, right?
Word. Yep. Word.
And click the Views tab. That'll help you organize it. Did I lose you? Oh, no, you're there.
Video. Here's add. Well, I don't know what that phrase refers to. The Views tab.
Okay, so
This is the views
yep.
in that left
And so see where it says section 37? Or
oh, I see. That's the Views tab.
yeah, so you wanted to be person, text, PowerPoint, Word,
Right.
video. Okay, everything's
because I
fine.
just duplicated video.
Okay, if you wanted to, I mean, so you want this just to kind of.
And then I was just going on to PDF for the next one.
Yep, PDF for the next one. I just want to point out that for some reason that you want this to follow the same order as what's on the page, and you can reorganize the view. For example, if you said, oh no, this one happens before video, you can reorganize them.
Right. Right.
But yep, go ahead and take from there. I guess I was just interrupting with that reason.
Yep. No, we're video. Must be on a caps lock.
Oh yeah, my computer's on. Oh no, that's yours.
I don't even know where my caps lock is right now. I'm struggling with my little keyboard. There we go. Oh no, let's do the label, otherwise I forget. No, I'm not going to be able to pull that off. I guess.
And this is one thing that would be useful, Sean, since you have two monitors. I would recommend having playing the screen, having the screen in view mode on your other monitor. So you can kind of use the view mode of the screen as your kind of your list guiding you in the design mode. Does that make sense?
Okay, now, yeah. Now, is that why, though, like this, it doesn't really matter here in this mode whether I would pick image size 8 or 34 or whatever, because it's always going to show small. It's then when I render it that'll take effect, right?
I'm not sure if I understand.
Well, okay, so I give this a style of image 8.
Mm-hmm.
If I give it a style of image 34, it looks the same in this mode.
Well, and the reason why is the style 34 isn't 34. You said it's 34, but it's not. So that's where it's important. Like, so if you make 34, 34 is
I have
not
image 34.ping here.
but it's not a 34. If it were a 34, okay. If it were a 34, it would be bigger than that.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
since it's not 34, I would recommend deleting it or somehow putting in some information, letting people know that 34 isn't 34.
Yeah, well, I keep trying to just correct it. And
to correct it.
I can't testify that image has been corrected, but several have been corrected repeatedly all afternoon long.
All right, so image 34, go here.
Yeah.
And image 34, let's take a look at your, actually before we go here, let's take a look at this. Where's your image?
These are pretty much in alphabetical order.
All right. I don't see an image one here,
Just
but
second from the top. Yeah, it's up above itself, so it's not.
I'll have this just in case.
Second one right now, below archive. And that's why I messed with your thing. I messed you up.
Okay.
Slide 6.
Let me just go like this real quick. Keep source formatting. See how we don't have to change it to Font Awesome? It just worked. Oops.
It never worked for me, man.
The fewer styles you introduced. Yes, and I'll.
Oh, but wait. That was when you copied it from another slide. I have already changed those on that slide because I wanted them to show up.
Well, you'll see in the future. There's a way that you can change it. Well, changing doesn't mean user friendly. In fact, that one, it's when you change things, it usually hurts your experience with this stuff.
3.4 and 0.8 are the two that I really want to manufacture.
All right, we will have that. This one will work. And the reason why we know is not only did we do it the standard method, we also use standard naming. And you're going to see it's all of a sudden everything we think is going to happen will start happening. Image 34. Now, this is image 34. So if you were to make this image 34, it's a 34 image.
It's big. Yeah. Cool. And like I mean, I trust that, and that's why I try and put little air quotes around the words. That, like I said, I've just been running them by being new to the manufacture of styles,
Yes.
and then new to the sort of application of styles. This way, somewhere along the way, I keep losing.
It's super easy.
I keep trying to think through now. What am I doing wrong?
Because basically, what you're doing logically is what you're doing violates all good writing practices. You are having a really long continuous run-on sentence. You're trying to reuse one idea across 3 different platforms, if that makes sense. You're trying to do a conversion from a special character to an image to a style.
Right.
If that makes sense. So you're carrying a concept across at least 3 different platforms, and then you're reusing it. So it's basically reuse to the at least third power. Unless you use the consistent naming across, you'll be hopelessly lost. And that's why these views, you'll never get lost here, because these views all use familiar names. But anyways, enough with that. Continue. You got image. Where did that one? Oh yeah, image. Your next one is Excel.
Excel.
And see how easy it was for me to just create that image too, because I knew you approximately used the right word.
Right.
We went to the same library, which was fun. Awesome.
Easier throughout the day. Yeah, I found it easier throughout the day to remanufacture them. Like it was just more a kind of whack-a-mole thing where I felt like I would solve a problem. No, it turned out it wasn't.
Oh, cool. Well,
do it again.
So I'm feeling edified about forcing you to go through this path with using styles. Are you finding that you're finding that this is preferable to putting images in a data sheet, or you're still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I can see the preference, and like right now, it's just the little concept that I keep getting in my mind is I have this model from the little bit of HTML that I've done, right? That you always create like a thing on an HTML page, and then you apply the style to it.
Mm-hmm.
And in HTML, it's always code that I surround something with, or I put a style equals in an existing HTML tag, right? But there's a thing, and I apply a style to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here, in this, applying the style to an empty section.
A section is a thing.
I've memorized that. Okay. Yeah, because a section isn't an image. A section isn't a piece of text.
A section is an.
I have trouble with the definition of thing.
A section is an HTML div tag.
Okay, so I can memorize that I can apply it to a section. It's when I get into views, I got lost once or twice because, of course, when I create a new view, that view is empty, and you've got to put something in it to then apply the style. You can't apply a style to just a view, an empty view. You've got to put a section in the view and then apply the style to the
yes.
If I've got it right.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
that is
once
right.
or twice I started a new view, and without thinking, I would drop either some text or something in it. Well, one time to move, yeah. So I have this guy. I was trying to manufacture new stuff here, right? I have person 1 and person 2. Well, these have this little card number text input for this nefarious reason that you've got to have something other than a background image for this whole construct to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I just create a new view instead of duplicating a view, I found I couldn't pull it off. I couldn't construct it from scratch such that it actually worked. I would always lose the style somewhere or lose the functionality. I couldn't do
it. That takes yes. Yep. And I think that's like that. There's like a pattern for doing this. But
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I wanted to be. I just wanted to be up on the page.
You got to switch that
Yeah,
style
so right
from
now I'm at the
Excel to
point.
code.
Yeah, so right now I'm at the point where if you and I talk through it, and I get that first example, well then I can copy that, and I understand it well enough to intelligently kind of extend it out. But I'm having trouble when I try and just do it from scratch. Oh, that's just like where I am.
We're getting close, and this thing we can make it a. You can make this one a master. Yeah, be easier.
I was wondering.
But there's a special type of master. This one is like I guess it's a widget type of master. But you'll probably want to make sure that the styles are exactly what you want before you start. You don't want to copy donut. If you just copy stuff before it's useful, you create redundancy. If you create something that's useful and you copy it, you create something reusable. And that's there's a subtle distinction, but if you aren't careful, you might be just creating redundancy rather than reusableness.
Okay, so I have this.
Yep. Now let's make.
Now the big move is I want to get this into my actual thing, right?
Well, before this is done, you have not finished the styling task yet. This is a list of all the concepts, but you've not finished the styling. If you merge these concepts, that's like standing in water and holding on to an electrical cord. There is absolutely no way that's going to end up with this simulation alive. You have to finish off the style.
Okay.
You can't. You have to be 100% done. So what I would recommend before you add this data part there, let's you made some control that allows you to toggle through, or let's make a control here that lets you toggle through the style. Just call it. What I do is basically an Easter egg. So just create something. Type the word demo. Demo concepts. Just double click demo concepts. And then on events, go to the event tab. Yep, at events, on click, add, action, switch view, and just have it go to the next view. And hit done. Now let's play this. And so just demo the concepts.
See how it moves around?
Yes, and I believe
no one cares but me.
Well, I believe you that you don't have consistent images, because I've seen that you don't have consistent images. If when they're stacked next to each other, they are going to look inconsistent. They will only become consistent the day that you reuse the naming convention consistently.
Oh, now wait, I follow you right up to the end. I think that inconsistency is from the cropping.
Is what's that?
Is from the cropping. I cropped them by hand.
The issue where the image 8 was the same size as the image 34 was not due to the cropping.
No, not at all. Not at all. But right now, see, archive is right there, and when I click it once, see how person is just slightly in a different spot. And if I do it fast, you can see how it just moves around by a few pixels.
Okay, and that's the part where
it just moves by a few pixels?
So let's change this one in terms of, let me grab control here. So we are going to change this one to demo next and demo previous. And
always the UI guy.
yeah. All right, so it appears that these two are different.
That's a manufacturer problem.
Okay.
No, that's a manufacturer problem. You picked one but like these
Okay.
ones that we just manufactured.
All right, so tell me which one.
Video and Word and video we just manufactured under your
Okay.
tutelage. See how it moves? There's
Well,
nothing
let's
wrong
take.
with it.
Well, if it were under my tutelage, let's see what this thing is named. Right. I don't doubt that you use
right.
the names. Let's go take a look at Word.
Yeah, no, let's find two of them that we just did. Yeah, that's true.
This is Word 08, so this is not the one under my tutelage. It would be the
that's
font.
not. So here, if I can just grab down here, delete daily, right there. We made Excel, image, PDF, and Word.
Yes.
Those are the four that we just made.
Yep. So that's an install problem. So you just go here.
Yeah. So if you align
and you use Word,
Excel, image. Yeah. If you align Excel, image, Word, and Excel, image, Word, and what was the last one? Yeah. Excel, image, PDF, and Word.
Yeah. And so when you see it uses a non-standard name, that's your way of knowing that you're not using the standard item.
Right. Because I'm going to remanufacture them so that I know they're the right size and give them the standard name.
And that way you can know that you installed the right thing.
If you put those four views contiguous in the set of views.
Okay, we can make these contiguous right here. And that's the whole purpose of this. Yeah. We want to design this one so you can see it.
Exactly.
So how do you want to test? You want to have them side by side?
If you click on your set of views.
Okay, watch a sec.
Oh, I was thinking in the set. Look, I'm not being articulate here, Tony. Let me do what I
want to
give me just a second here.
If I could. Well, I want to put them all. I want to be able to look at them all at the same time, not all at different times, and have to rely on memory.
Okay.
So we want to align. Oops. I'm going to move those two down. And then we can distribute it so they're side by side. Because comparing two things together is always better when they're next to each other.
Right.
Let's see if your shortcut keys work. That didn't work, so I'll just do line top and then distribute. Yeah. So which one of these is this the same as this one?
Well, you want to put Excel, image, PDF, and Word next to one another so we can actually see them.
So are we? Which one? Oh, so I guess that's the part. The things. So which are we? Are we trying to compare which ones?
Excel, image, PDF, and Word.
Excel, image,
so all four
PDF.
Are on the screen. Excel, PDF, and Word.
Excel, image, PDF,
and Word. But see, I don't think you're ever going to be able to see the distinction with this approach.
If you see something side by side and you can't tell the difference, then that means they're the same. Does that make
I
sense?
disagree.
If you see something
No,
side
I
by
disagree.
side and you can't tell the difference between the two of them, that means they're the same. If two things
No,
are
because
indistinguishable,
white space violates your logical rule there.
two
If you see two things side by side
and
that
you
look
can't
exactly the same, one could have an inch of white space around it, and the other could have no white space around it, and you wouldn't be able to tell.
Okay, if you want to do that, you can just add the style and say put a border on all the styles. Watch this.
I have
But well, I guess if you seek to find a problem for each solution, you'll succeed. If you want to,
what I'm trying to articulate is that the image is sitting inside a larger canvas,
yes,
and the canvas is of differing size because of my hand cropping.
I
even feel like I know why it's there.
And I guess I disagree with your diagnosis.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I could show the diagnosis though.
What I'm trying to teach you right here is how to troubleshoot. So if you say white space is a problem or inconsistency is a problem, well, you change your style so you can address that problem, which I'm doing that right here. And if two things are indistinguishable from each other, they are the same. So you said you need
how the image, literally image, look at the top edge of image and how it's right up against your border, but the top edge of PDF is below the border. That's because of the hand cropping.
Okay, now that is
the part of the image is exactly the same.
Okay, well that's a dangerous assumption to make, but it's also a solvable one.
Well, it's the only thing that yeah.
So if you want to solve the problem, I have recommendations.
Too big of a deal for you.
Oh no, I'm just saying I have recommendations if you want to solve the problem. So if you want to solve the problem, one way there's an attribute called center or middle. Center or middle tends to keep those things more consistently aligned. Which ones? But before we get to it, let's go back to Sesame Street style. Which two are different? Which one would you like to be the standard? Can you point which one should be the standard size? And it doesn't matter if it's the chicken or the egg, but you have to pick chicken or egg. Would you like the word to be the standard size?
I like how image is, because image is right up against the top and left border.
Okay. So
we're going to be happier if image was right up against the bottom border. But see, my hand crop didn't allow me to do that.
Well, before we
lack of ability.
Well, our challenge here is pick one, and then we replicate from it. But don't. So, can you pick one that we will replicate from?
It's inarticulate because.
Well, and I guess this is a multiple choice. It's a multiple choice. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I don't think it is. We have a professionally done font where every one of those 4 images, Word, PDF, image, and Excel, every one of those images is exactly in the same spot, like you're talking about, centered in where the font is laid out, right? And we make them into a picture, and I'm 100% confident that PowerPoint then puts that, what was formerly a font character but is now a picture, in exactly the same spot in the middle of the picture. But then where the variation is introduced is me hand cropping out that border that I don't like.
And Sean, I'm 100% confident.
I'm just saying my hand cropping is a few pixels on each image, so that they're no longer 100% accurate. They're whatever, 98%, 95%.
And Sean, I'm 100% confident that you did not install the image that you created from PowerPoint. So how could it have the image? How could it have the flaw of an image you never installed?
Well, but these are the four that we just reinstalled that we
You
went
did,
through together and really did remanufacture and install.
did you? Prove to me
Yeah,
that.
as opposed to the other ones.
All right. Well, so instead of going on memory, can you prove to me that image? Can you show me how do you know that image is the one that you just created? I know the correct answer, so
Well, the
I
naming convention.
all right. Show me and
I guess maybe I'm not following.
You're not following. So
The,
watch.
the,
Can I show?
yeah,
Can I demonstrate?
please. Okay.
And this is where the naming is going to become more important. So let's start. Let's really replicate the name here. So edit Word. So this is using what file name? It's using the Word file name, Word 08. This is something that you had manufactured. I'm going to rename this one, and because it's been renamed standard, you know that it's been installed. Done. Word, you're going to see that PDF looks the exact same, and it's because it also follows. Oh, it does not. This is not one of the ones we did.
Well, we
PDF.
just haven't updated it. We
Correct.
manufactured but didn't update it.
So when you don't follow it all the way through, you can have a bunch of false positives. And that's what I'm trying to.
Right.
I've not been articulate in saying use standard names, but I know I've been saying it. But if you don't use the standard names, you will always have unpredictable results. And so you can't blame it on PowerPoint when it never got from PowerPoint to begin with. Does that make sense?
Okay. Now you just redid Word and PDF, right?
I just did Word and PDF, but image and Excel, those have not been done. Let's see, is image using a standard name?
Okay, so I guess I'm changing my position that I think we're both right. That we haven't applied everything, but you can see the difference between Word and PDF, the ones that you just double checked or triple checked here and corrected.
What we can see is that.
See how Word and PDF are different?
I guess that's the part where we need to begin with the first step, and I
had to let it go. Maybe we've gotten on a detail.
No, I guess here's the detail, and I feel like I'm saying this, but somehow the words aren't sinking in, or you don't believe me. Literally, the name needs to radiate all the way across, right? If the name does not radiate across, you have a non-standard solution. A non-standard solution is called a bug. So these all use standard names. And so the way that you work with standards is first you need to make sure you're doing with apples and oranges, or apples to apples. So you start taking a look at these.
And Word we must have missed.
Word
must
seems
still be wrong.
Word deviated from the standard, so we go to Word.
It seems to be different.
Yep. So, and this is like Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the others. Which could it be? Word is not like the others.
Right.
So now you go to Word. And that's why you want to do them all at the same time. It's easier to replicate things when you're copying.
Okay.
So you go like this and replicate the whole process. Shortcuts rarely, not using standards isn't a shortcut.
Yeah.
Because the way that you do it today is going to be different than the way you do it tomorrow. So figure out, when you do your images, do them one way and figure out how to repeat it. Oops. But repetition is how you get the quality. Let's see. I meant to delete that guy. Let me try it one more time. So cut, paste. Size it to. But if you say that you can't do it, I assure you, you are correct. because you can't do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you put your mind to not being able to do it,
Don't try to do it.
I assure you, you can't do anything you put your mind to not doing. But if you want to size them uniformly, just follow a repeatable process. PowerPoint's not an arbitrary program.
Okay.
And if you need more precision, you just zoom in. And if if you don't need it, you can zoom out. .8. Now I'm going to save as. I'm going to update the 0.8 Word document file. Save it. Yes, I want to replace it. But just because I saved it on my C drive doesn't mean that it went to the definition center. You have to go right here, hit the edit. Now it's on the definition center. And so take a look, you refresh it, and then if you want it higher, that's all right. We just iterate on it one more time in the picture. You want it a little bit higher now. So we go back to PowerPoint. .8. So now this is 0.8. This one's been styled all the way up here. And then the goal is you want to make copy these. So is that one still? Oh, it's a little bit too big, right?
I think it's gotten, like I said, I don't want to disagree because I understand the point you're making. It's just like this: we're doing it over and over until it gets to a level. Well, somehow if I had this solved, we do it once, and like you say, it would be repeatable and it would just happen.
Oh, and that's
the answer in my mind to that is to not do it by hand. But
correct. You want
I understand that
you want to have
saying that's not the thing.
Well, all styles are done by hand, but you iterate. So it's iterative development.
I'm talking about manufacturing the graphic. I wish I had some utility that would automatically trim that graphic down so that I knew that it was just taking off a certain number of pixels at the top and pixels at the left. See, so it's just 100% repeatable. Anything I do by hand, I feel like is more variable than if I can actually have a program do it for me.
Yes.
And that's just because I'm not a graphics guy. I'm not good at drawing things by hand with graphics things.
Yes, and I would agree, and I think the approach though is it's called reuse. You really want it. So we have Word here, and that fits that dimension. Now we want to make that the Acrobat the same size, and it's an iterative design process where And so you go to Acrobat. Let's take a look. Up there's a margin there. Right click, copy, bring it up.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I see your point. It's a valid point, Tony. Yeah,
Well,
I don't want to keep repeating mine.
it's a valid point, but I guess
because this means I'm going to just be remanufacturing forever until, because
correct. You
I can't see the difference, but the difference might still be there. Yeah.
And I guess that's the
Okay.
change. Well, I guess that's the change in mindset. I'm looking for you to hopefully be open to be open.
A different way of expressing the same thought.
Yes. If I can't
wish
see that
right here in PowerPoint, it would give me. Well, a different way of expressing the same. I wish here in PowerPoint it was telling me how many pixels wide and tall that image was, because then I could really make sure when I cropped it, every one was the same width and the same height.
And
right
that's
now,
why
I don't know how to
PowerPoint
do that,
has. Yeah, and that's PowerPoint has grid lines there, but I guess the way to get your styles right is you do have to iterate on it multiple times. That's for everyone downstream, they get the benefit of, well, it just works. But you have to learn how to make a size 8 and get really good at making size 8s. In theory, if you have really good naming, you can repeat the same value add activity. But if
so
you have
totally agree with you.
I guess what
I want is I want to find that source where somebody turned all the fonts into pictures that are huge, and all I have to do is make them different dimensions.
Okay.
Ever manufacturing, and just that hasn't happened. I haven't found that resource yet.
Okay.
See? Yeah.
Anyways, it's an iterative thing, but if you have the mindset of saying, even though these things look the same, I know they're different. It's almost like you're gonna find a difference if you're looking to. I guess that's the part where I find it a little bit, just the philosophy. If your goal is to make the things the same, try to look for how you can make them the same. That's a constructive approach. Whereas it seems more antagonistic. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, in the past, I've found anything I do by hand introduces more variation than if I can somehow script it using a utility, right? Like I said, the example is right here in front of us. When I take a Font Awesome font that was built by a professional and I turn it into a picture, I feel just so comfortable with that picture. If I do that with several different font characters, that those pictures, while they're certainly different pictures, they're of different font characters. They have exactly the same border, and if I would then riffle through them, like a deck of cards, that they wouldn't move around, that they're exactly the same. Where I lose that confidence when I have to crop it by myself. But I made too big a deal out of it somehow. I'm just saying that yeah.
Well, I guess
it comes back to that. When people call me out, like in meetings, it's always because I'm not such a great graphic artist. That it's whenever I do anything by hand, it's always where I introduce error. So I always try not to do graphic things by hand.
I would tend to agree. I mean, that's probably a fair assessment. If you are interested in the technique, if you're interested in improving that, the way that I recommend for design, it's called iterative development. And that's where you have a definition of done. You define your definition of done, and then once you've met that definition of done, you're done. In fact, the most important thing that's the part where there's 4 components that you must have solid, and you can't mix them. You cannot stand in water while holding an electric line. You cannot do style while doing behavior. Those need to be separate concepts, and then you need to have the confidence that when you put the style word in there, well, that's just the correct style. And if it's not perfect, you know that someone will be iterating on that style and it will be perfect at some point. So, like, for example, all right, Word and Acrobat, these guys are the same. The next one is image, and you just kind of keep on moving those subtle tweaks. And so that's kind of the process for that one. in order to truly make those equal. The reason why we have to use images is because that's interoperable. It's nice to have something just replicated, but if you just replicate, you create redundancy. It's not necessarily usable. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's not reusable unless you have precision. That makes sense?
And I think redundancy is a good word. Whenever you create redundancy, then I've got to update it later in multiple places, those redundant places.
Yes.
The goal is always to kind of have it one place and update it in one place.
Yes. And the one place that we are, we make one place called FA file PDF 08, and it's reused all over this project. You'll iterate a lot, but just in this one place, but this one place is reused many times. And the reason why you do that, it has an exponential curve. If you make one concept here, and then here's your concept, and then you reuse the concept in two different places, let's say you use concepts in pages. Let's say you use the concept twice. Because the goal is the more iterations you get, the higher the quality you get. And this gives you value. So iterations here. Value is here. So if you did, let's say you worked on PDF and you iterated, 2 times. Well, the value is 2 times 2 equals 4. Well, what if you reuse that style 3 times? Well, it's now 2 times 2. And now you have 8 times the value. And so that's the part where this is no longer rework. So this is you have concept, reuse. And I don't know if this makes sense, but this gets into exponential value. You have one concept here, and historically, the traditional way would mean you'd have to go to each one of these 3 things. You fix it here, well, great, you've just made work for yourself. You have to go here and here, and every version it gets more and more ugly and more unwieldy. The more you reuse it, one iteration, the amount of effort that you get done in one iteration is equal to the traditional person's effort. It would normally take them 16 times, depending the amount that it's reused. Since these items are going to be applied across a table that could be like 50, it's 2 to the 50th power. That's how powerful your iterations are. And so I don't mean the reason why I'm belaboring the point is the value in this one, even of something simply, seemingly small. And remember how Tufte talked about don't try to make a really big improvement, try to make some really small improvement. Well, the reason why is it's exponential. So 2 to the power of 50, I don't know how to do exponents in here, is a lot. So we kind of digress a little bit, but that's the part that, yes, the first time I've done it, I'm not really good at doing things consistently because I don't have experience doing things consistently. Well, that's true, but that's how it works. So you either need to have someone that's got a, now ideally it would be nice if the concept required no iterations. All concepts require iterations. Um, So I guess that's the manufacturing process. I would recommend bringing in some consistency, or just, or whatever it is, and then once you're solid, you just need to have a way to standardize your manufacturing process, and it's not a artistic thing. It's a procedural thing. Kind of like there is a way that you make coffee. I don't know what your way is, but there's a way that you make coffee. And God forbid if someone said, Sean, that's awesome coffee. How'd you do that? More than likely, you'd be able to make coffee the second day too. Well, it's that same part here with this process. Um, and so it might be involved, might involve putting in templates here, putting in guidelines in PowerPoint. But it's just about putting tools in to help yourself. But anyway, I may have gotten too into the woods here, but I felt like it was important to kind of get it here that the iterating on a concept is a value add when you have a style, because it's exponentially valuable. Whereas just iterating on an image or a one-off thing doesn't give you that same type of value. Um, so I may have lost you, but can you standardize the images or standardize your process? If you can make them consistently
No,
wrong.
every time we go through it, and every time I spend a few hours doing it, it helps me standardize.
Okay.
And, it just takes a few times through to standardize. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So
I'm trying to.
this is the pattern for style, and this is for all of them. The decisions do the same thing. The behaviors do the same thing. So if you aren't satisfied with the style, well, keep going until you're satisfied. And then once you're, or once you feel that you've reached the most amount of value, you don't have to iterate on it anymore. But I guess it's not standard. Normally, from my experience, every idea that's accepted normally has 20 ideas in the boneyard. So anyway, sorry, that was my.
You have a few more minutes to do a behavior question?
Sure.
Well, because now we've implemented these. This all leads to that behavior that you're talking about on mouse over or click. It almost doesn't matter what the action is. Making the one image a little bigger in the film strip.
Yeah, or I guess something different.
We manufacture one of those.
Yeah, so let's do that. So we have a couple of these. Do we want to just use these styles for as is for right now, knowing that we'll need to go back and iterate on the concept?
Yeah, that's what I said. If we pick one of them where I've already manufactured at least a different size.
Okay.
Right. Then, yeah. See, because like text, I have several different sizes. So we have 8. Oh, but I don't have a 12 or anything.
Yeah.
We need one of them that has like a 12.
Yeah, and that's where it's not to get like assembly line process, but it's good to do everything. Oh, are you still there? Did I lose you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. It would be useful if
I heard that too. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. It would be useful if you would, even for yourself, to complete, instead of like bouncing through them all. And so we'll go ahead and do the get the behaviors, but it'd be useful to kind of get that style just really nailed and get that figured out, and then go to the other ones. We're going to jump into it, but we're going to run into some dependencies. I'll show you in a minute. So right now we have this. All these guys here, right? We want to, let's also, but now we want to have something when you mouse over, it does something special. So let's just start off with, and you said you want to use Word. You get that's the
Person's
most.
a good one to use.
Person's a good one.
Person's the one. Yeah, that's
All right.
the one we have most manufactured.
So we're starting to get into master. So this is where we need to standardize the size. I'm going to create a low fidelity concept of this one. Because we actually don't want it to have the label. We just want it to be an image, right?
Yeah.
So let's standardize the dimensions of this one. We want this one to be, let's try 150.
Well, now I have a question, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yes.
I know that we manufacture, but this was always for documentation. In the bottom demo pages, where the other day we manufactured the first few views for the actual demo.
Yes.
Instead of the documentation. And the only difference is it doesn't have that label. So do we want to change this or copy of this or change the one on the other page?
We want to reuse whatever we're doing right now. So we don't want to make it. We only have one place. So this is our concept evidence type is our best concept. So we're going to just build off this one. If that makes sense.
Now you're taking out the labels for this. Don't we want the labels for other uses? Don't I want to make a copy of this is my question? Because I have it all nicely there in a stack with the labels.
You do not.
For one purpose, which is documentation.
But I get, well, what do you want it to look like what you have on the PDF? I guess which let me show you just the modeling process real quick so I can better ask my question. Model, copy, alter. This does not add value. Every time we copy, this creates redundancy.
Right.
So we already we have, and a model is something that's the most useful. So when I look at this, you have a concept of evidence type that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 concepts. Does your other one have 12 concepts?
Not yet, no. Because,
okay, so the one with 12 concepts is more valuable than the one with 3 concepts. If that makes sense. So we always move forward. This is better than the other one.
Right.
So what we want to do is, what do we want?
My question, and I feel like we keep getting caught on words here, but my question was simpler, and that's that we have a stack now that has, on every view, it has an example of the style, which is what I needed, and it also has a label of that style, actually in text.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lose that, because now we're going to lose the label. So we built something, and before I even have a chance to use it to correct my styles, we're going to throw it away.
You're not going to lose it.
That's my question.
You have these right here. These are static. Those aren't going anywhere.
Okay.
And so, and you organize it. Let me. I'll just stack them vertically like we had them for.
Ooh, did I lose you?
I'm still here. I can hear you.
I'm going to go off my earpiece. I'm still here.
I can still hear you.
I think my ear makes those sounds and stuff as it's going down. This is a nice ear.
All right.
Entry.
See. All right. Sounds like you're back. No, I heard a bing. Hey, Sean. Yeah, I can't hear you. But anyways, I wanted to get to this. I can hear you because I'm talking on the phone, but I can't hear you on the meeting. I see a red X through your phone, and maybe that's because you're muted. I've unmuted you. See if you say something now. Yeah. What? Okay. Yeah. Unmute yourself. No. I'm trying to. I'm not sure. Let's see. Connected. It says mutes. Oh, I'm gonna mute and unmute you. All right, you're unmuted. And it says you're talking on a phone. Are you talking on a phone? You must be. Well, but you're talking on a phone to me. You're not talking in the meeting. So, but it's. Oh, no. Is your phone? Are you on another line? Well, because right now your telephone is talking to my telephone. It's not talking to the 1-800 number. Okay.
Now I've switched lines and I'm talking on the other connected call I have.
Now I can hear you. We're in business again. I can hear you.
Well, cool. So I need to switch back, hang up, and then switch.
Nope.
So I'll be right back. Oh no, it looks like it dropped the other way because you hung up the other way.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
So what we're doing now
I
is
just didn't want to have. It didn't matter, but.
So this is something where, again, and you'll hear me say this a bunch of times, we want to standardize. And standardize means doing the same thing every time. And so we are going to standardize on the dimensions of 120 by 120. Why are they 120 by 120? It's because that's what they are. In the future, if you're to say, I want something 100 by 100, well, you'll design to that. But right now, the reality is it's 120 by 120 because we're moving. If we are going to move to behaviors, then that means our styling, we have to make that done. So we're saying the scope of that is 120 by 120. Fair for now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So now, and you have all the labels there.
Yeah, that makes total
sense. We're going to make person 120 by 120. And let's figure out, we want to have a hover state or something like that for person. What are our two things that we want to have?
Yeah, that's been the idea.
Okay.
So when it's showing it's one, and then your suggestion, which I thought was great, was just on hover, it'll get bigger, which I would think would be taller. And that's where you're talking about it would shift up, right?
We could either do this or,
but it would be a little taller.
Yeah, so well, maybe then we might want to standardize on a slightly larger size. Let's make it 150. Because we don't really it's cropped so tight, it makes it difficult for us to show something being taller or smaller. $150. So we're going to have a style called evidence, and maybe we want mouse over to be the up. So let's rename this one. This is our hover. And we'll duplicate this one, and we'll call the other one our default. The default style is going to be aligned middle. So this is hover and selected.
It'll just move up from alignment middle to alignment top.
And then do you want that? Do you want to duplicate hover and make selected a duplicate of hover?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
You could do something, you know, just to demonstrate it. Could we put like a line at the bottom of it or something just to show that it's selected? You could. It's something you can get rid of. So these are our three states. There'll be a hover and selected that we're going to demonstrate.
Default, hover, and selected.
The difference between hover and selected is persistent. And we've also decided to change our standards. We're doing 120 by 150. And so the question is like, well, how do we make a view that cool? Well, my gosh, you don't want to put views in a view. That just gets to be too burdensome. We need to make our problem a little smaller. So do right click, save as, master. And then, that messed up our naming here. Oh, it says text. Oh, cool. Oh, wait, but where's our person? I think it dropped it all the way to the bottom too. So
right. So you're going to rename master person again?
Yep. And when you do this, you have to make sure all your naming stuff, because if you had any criteria or whatever like that, that would all get messed up. I'm going to put all caps just to demonstrate that's a master or something.
Sure.
We're going to call this one person. Now, this is the part where we have behavior maps and we have views, but we have 3 views. We're going to have a hover. We're going to have a selected. Hover is going to have a style of hover. Up. Default is going to have a style of default. Selected is going to have a style of selected. Now this is something, so we are now going to switch. That's great. We have our styles, but we don't have a behavior. Now I'm going to do that next. I'm going to collapse this because this does not help me. Well, let me collapse this one. It's not. All right, but I'm also going to, instead of saying dynamic view, I'm going to also say person. Next thing is I'm got a low fidelity concept I want to introduce called a behavior map. Since it's low fidelity, I'm just going to put it right here. But I will later expand this to take over the whole page. So in this low fidelity concept, this is called a behavior map. When you have mouse enter, the behavior I want is it will switch the view on person to hover.
I see. And then on click,
Hover.
it'll change to selected.
Yes, on click, but correct. We're going to have it go to a clipboard first, because in the future you'll need that. But I'm going to do on leave.
Okay.
And we go back to default. Selected's a tricky one. I'm going to show you that in a moment. And so default, I guess, is we're going to say that it's unselected. And so now we're just looking at this one small one. Oh, I don't see my behavior map. Let's bring this to front. Order. How's it going? Talk to Sean.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah. What's that going? Wrap to page.
You only have your behavior map on the hover view, but it's showing the default view when you render it.
Oh, 1 second, Sean.
Oh, no.
So see how that works? Oh, hold on 1 sec.
Yeah.
The Sean from you met Sean. Oh no, you weren't at the weren't you at the St. Patrick's party? Okay, well Sean was from there. So need a chat? Okay, I'll be in tomorrow. So, 3 o'clock, yeah, 3 in the morning. If you don't see me, you probably got here at 3:02. So here's my behavior map. But we also have this other thing is like, is this selected? So we're gonna have an event when you click on it. You go to clipboard, and we have the concept of person dot selected. Now, ideally, this should be this is going to go to a decision box because we want that logic here. Do we want to get into person selected? You know what? I'm thinking that gets into data.
It sounds like it adds a lot of complication. I can see where it's going.
Yeah.
It sounds like it adds a lot of complication.
Yeah, at this point, let's agree that it can happen, but we won't need to do that right now.
Yeah, so just on hover, because normally as a user would use it, they would hover over it. When they select it, it's not like it's going to jump anywhere. Their attention will go up top, and then when they leave, yeah, it'll fall back down, but it'll be selected at that point, so they'll know where they are.
And that could come into the next feature. Just know that there's a process for doing that, but that's probably not worth learning both at the same time.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is
exactly this: how to integrate sort of the master and the views is the point here of this behavior.
And you've already integrated
incremental behavior.
And the master and the view have already been integrated. You don't know that, but it has. Yeah. All right, cool. And then we just clear formatting because we don't want any style on this behavior map. So now let's go
find. Use clear formatting more.
Well, you only use that one after you've only just for a behavior map. So let's go ahead and play this.
Yeah.
Previous. Okay, next. See?
Yep.
This one doesn't have it.
We haven't implemented it on anything but person yet, right?
Yep, only on person.
Okay.
So you have your low fidelity dimension, which is not standard actually, because that's But now when we get into it, you have a job. You must conform. You have to follow this rule, or else it won't work.
Right.
And that's part of it. You have to give up independent thought on this one. Once you've decided, right here, it's dimensions 120 by 150. That's what it is all the way throughout this one. If you want to try something different, throw this in the boneyard and start all over again. So go to text, or right here, and that's where it might be useful to have this one closer in proximity. Or I know.
Doesn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, that guy. So you're right here, your text, your first thing is you're going to look, is this standard? Your dimension should be 120 by 150. This is not standard. So, we get rid of our text here. Should be 120 by 150. Now we want to go ahead and add this behavior. So right click, save as, master. And it just makes everything, bonkers. And we go through, but actually, the shortcut, since you have everything as a style, you can just simply go like this instead of person. Let's say that you really like what you had with person and you just want to reuse what you have here.
Just change the style, which is easier than the. So
Yep.
Either way, you've got to manufacture it, but
Yep.
this is an easier manufacture.
Here's an easier way. And so what I recommend, see this behavior map, you do collapse widget. And
you talk about collapse widget, and you just hit that, but what did that really do when you collapsed the widget?
okay, so right now, I want to change the style, but I'm intersected this behavior maps in my way.
I see. So it gets a thing behind it, or I see collapse.
So, and I don't want this. This is hurting me. This is preventing me from doing what I want to do. I want on my hover
So the
state.
follow-on question is always, how do you expand the widget then?
It never leaves. It's still there.
That Disney movie as a kid.
See, it
Do you
exists.
remember that Disney movie as a kid? Oh, never.
Widget is
How do I get that? How do I get it back if I want it?
well, if you were to close your project and reopen it, everything expands. Is the first answer.
Okay. So the collapse isn't permanent; it's for this session.
Yep. Correct.
Okay, I didn't understand that. I gotcha.
So, but you can also double click it too. It's with clicking on this stuff, you have to be very precise. So it's kind of that can be tricky. But let's go ahead. We'll make it. I don't know what happened to my last. Let me make a. Here's a copy of person one.
What you were going to make this copy for?
Yeah. I'm just going to remember I've cloned it, so it's still kind of in process. So I'm right here, but I want to get the person, so I'm just going to do right click, collapse widget.
Collapse widget. Then you'll apply your style.
Yep. So this is the hover for text. And I'm going to rename this one -hover. Hover is when it's aligned topped. I'm also going to make a default. Default is when it's aligned middle.
That's all we need now because we're delayed until later. Yep.
Let's just check this guy. Is this one working right? All right.
Do the light blue lines mean that your collapse thing isn't on top? That means it's in the background, right?
I think, what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that I'm using standard. So hover is top. Okay, when both were called, both were default. So the behavior was fine, but my style was not.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
It's blue line because I can't see the thing that's getting to it. I don't have focus on it. So I'm not sure. That's
I
an
actually tried to
interesting.
learn the lines more.
Yeah,
Using
text. So I have text, and then I just want to I want the name to radiate all the way up to the top. But no reference even found. That's right, because I just it's redundant master. And instead of redundant master, I want it to use text.
Yeah, because that's what you were playing around showing me. So you made that second master, even though you didn't need to. You needed to make a copy of the master,
Yeah.
and then wire it in with a new style.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So now using this one, perhaps the quickest way to do this one is I could just duplicate text.
Call it PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That's the next one.
And my standard is, if it's all capitalized, then that means it's the new format.
Right.
That's how I'll be able to handle my versions. And then PowerPoint, all I do is I do break reference. Let me try to think best way here. I'll just copy it. This thing is not PowerPoint yet. That's why it's text copy one.PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It becomes PowerPoint after it's PowerPoint. This is my default view, so and default's supposed to duplicate that.
Middle, hovers, top.
Let's check this. Is this what I want? Let's see. I've got a hover, but it's not quite.
It's one style short.
Yep, so my hover is using the text hover, and I want the PowerPoint hover. So that looks good to me. Now I'm going to rename this guy. He deserves to be called PowerPoint now. But he's not been installed yet. Go down to PowerPoint, and I want PowerPoint to point to the master PowerPoint.
Right.
See how that works?
Yeah.
So get this concept
Now we can
for every single one of these guys. Do you want?
But if we drop this in a table cell right this minute, it'll work for the first two and just not for the rest, right?
There's something that data, you can't do data until you get the behavior done on all of these. Okay. What you are going to do, you're going to need to do. So yes, kind of.
You got real quiet in the middle. Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep. Now I can. Yeah, it just got real quiet.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
You're going to need to, when you put in the data, you're going to need to have it only after you're done renaming this. You're going to have this driven by your data. And so this is what I recommend. I'm going to copy this. You are going to save this as a special type of master. Cool. I normally custom widget might be the same thing. The process I always do is I save master, but you want it to be the type that is a widget.
Widget. Yeah, and I'm weak on. I've always noticed that on the menu.
So
what does that do?
widget.
What bad thing happens if I forget to do that?
You won't have anything that you can attach data to. A master is just some. Long story short, if you just left it as a master, that's fine. You just have to break the master reference. In fact, don't worry about it just yet. Just become an expert in masters. Because all you'll do is you'll drop it in there. You'll need to break the master reference. If you have a widget, it just does that orchestration for you. Not necessary. Okay. But now, so here's the next one, and you're like, all right, my next one is Word, and you know you haven't done it because it's not capitalized.
Right.
So
and I can see. So I'll take that as an exercise and do those, and then, yeah. Well, and last time we talked, we made the film strip work. So
yes.
Then I'll just pop this in for the old one in the film strip once I get the data updated.
Yes, and you want to make sure that you make sure this is done. Don't do step 2 until step 1 is done. Right. That's if you don't do it that way, it's called leaky abstraction layers, and then that leads you into a very unmanageable project. If you have nice abstraction layers, you're going to have a very simple looking project. You're not going to see much IRI spaghetti. It's going to be a very boring looking project, which is
cool. When you talk about leaky abstraction or whatnot, should I carry this so far as like right now we're doing this, of course, on this page called like concepts or whatever, just to get it developed.
Yeah.
When I get done, should I make it the whole thing a master?
Only the component that you're using. So you are going to make
so I don't want to make the whole thing a master.
When you say the whole thing,
click on Concept Master again. Well, Concept Master has a thing on it. When I get done, I don't want to make that thing that you're mousing over. I don't want to make that a master so that it
concept
can move to another page or
you want to make concept.evidence type should become a master.
Okay, so I'll have a master called concept evidence type, and inside I'll have these views, and each view will be this master that I'm.
Yes, in fact, this is your design.
Okay. That was my question.
You're going to have masters within masters. So you have a master that will have 28 views, and then a master within a master. So this top one. Will give you concepts. The bottom master concept states. I'm going to throw out a number here, but I mean, I think you have like 28 concepts or something like that. Each concept has like 2 states.
Right. Yeah, because we thought about giving it 3 states, but let's start with 2.
In the future, though, you can have as many states as you want to have. But and then all this, and so that's where you're going to have eventually. You're going to have a little fixture. This is your data fixture.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is your behavior. This is your behavior fixture. This is your behavior map. I don't know the best way to reference that one, but this view changes based on behavior. This view changes based on data. But in the future, you might have this view based on behavior and data, which is this thing selected or not? But we decided that's probably a little too much for right now.
All right.
Does that I'm gonna just put label. Does that make sense to you when I made it red because there'll be a red line going into it.
No, that does. Well, it's like we talked about whether to be practical or conceptual. I see the practical side of the next step, and then conceptually, I'm not sure I could really do it on my own at this point, but I can see then where we're going conceptually in the longer run. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
This
kind
is
of seesaws back between, and that's what we need to get me.
Yeah, this is the part where I don't know if I have not perfected the best way to communicate this one. So each concept, so this is a parent, this is a child, and then there's another, I mean, it's another parent, data is here. Where is data? Your data sheet's here.
Right. Well, again, conceptually, that's one of the things I'm trying to do is get away from the data sheet idea and think more of having my data in the styles as far as my images.
You're going to have another.
Formerly, I was incorrectly putting in data. I'm now putting in styles.
Yeah, and that's the part where there's I don't have a style image here, but what's a good one for style? Oh, I think I was using circles before.
I like the data on its side just because it tells me visually how it's related to data, but it's different.
But I guess this uses a concept called reflection. Each view has a style or material associated with it. So what you're going to see is determined from your data sheet, that some numeric value. It determines what view you're going to see. What that view actually looks like is determined by your style. Does that make sense? In fact, let me put in a screenshot of that. I don't know where that thing went, but I want to paste it into here.
I think you just Control V, don't you?
Oh, cool. Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
All these guys reflect back here. So there is, these 28 concepts have two variations. So you actually have, you're actually managing 56 concepts. Your concepts will display based on two factors. What data is coming from here, saying like your concept 1 through 28, and what behavior the user is doing. So the definition of does a concept exist lives in the data sheet. The definition of what do I see lives in the style thing. And iRise calls it a style manager.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So you have a style manager, you have a data sheet.
Data sheet.
The data sheet has a red line that goes to the view.
Yeah, that's helpful.
red lines. Actually, I don't. You probably have that connection already. So, and that view is actually inside of a tile. um, I probably don't need to put that in there, but all right. This is I. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's helpful. Like I say, yeah.
Maybe a view contains 28 concepts. This is the part where it's, and actually technically this is narrower. Order. I think I'm starting to lose that, but this is within here. I'm not sure if if this is helping now. I think it was better right here.
Well, like I say, as you make it more complete, then it becomes more confusing as a visual. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but this visual, the view and the behavior, the relationship to the style and the data, I like it at that level. And then
Okay.
I'll have to think about that and implement it a little bit, and then go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm sorry if
Cool.
In terms of communicating, I wasn't able to do a better job, but
No, you're great.
Okay. Well, because on the part here,
I'm taking a bunch of your time here again. I didn't think they'd have you here until 6:30. My goodness.
Yeah.
Go home. You're at the office even or something.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, all right. So, anyways, that's the thing, and I guess the short of it is, you're never going to want to figure out where the hell that image really is coming. You're just going to want to know that there's a nice blue bubble, and if you want to change where the W is positioned in an image, you go to this nice blue bubble that you can always access.
Yeah. Well, and on this project, that's especially good because at some point they'll actually hand me some data, and that's exactly what I'm going to have to do, is replace everything that we've manufactured with what they want.
Yeah, and
I'm just putting in placeholders essentially.
And that style manager allows you to rename. And so, like, they're like, all right, well, I'm just going to reuse person as fill in the blank, and now person becomes whatever. And you can give them, when they're giving you the stuff, you can give them precise dimensions of what you want to have.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, this is cool, and I can put this encore up tomorrow.
Wonderful. I'll try not to take such a long phone call tomorrow, but I'll be in touch as to how this goes because I have a meeting tomorrow and stuff, and I'll show this.
All right. How are you feeling right now with the progress?
Good. I feel like I have stuff for tomorrow. I understand enough that I feel comfortable with where I am, but I have a bunch of questions, so I'll work on that, and then, like I said, I'll have follow-up questions. So
okay.
Sounds good.
All right, cool, Sean.
As far as extending the model.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
Okay. Well, thanks
Talk
again.
to you later. All right. See ya. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.